Action.
That was so much better than the last time.
You framed that very well.
That was like 7.5.
Welcome to Through the Lens. This is a show where we talk about independent filmmaking and our journey as independent filmmakers. My name is Adam.
I'm Clay.
There he is. And we've been filmmakers for a combined about 25 years, maybe a little bit more, right, Clay?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Together we've made over 10 feature films, including documentaries. We've done commercials. And on this show, we would like to share with you, the viewer, our experiences, some of the pitfalls that we've had, and some of the success stories that we've had in our journey. And today, in particular, we're going to be talking about, and maybe for a few episodes, right? One that's really near and dear to our hearts, at least to my heart, because this is the film in which I met Clay. It's called Silver Woods. If you haven't seen it, dun dun dun, it's still available to this day. It's been forever, right? But it's still available on DVD. You can still watch it on a multitude of streaming platforms. Lots of streaming platforms. It
actually just, ironically, got re-released on DVD with brand new artwork. New distributor picked it up for physical release, and that just hit, I don't know if it hit shelves, but you can get it on Amazon, I think Barnes & Noble, I think even Walmart. So, I mean, hey, it's
crazy.
9-ish years old now.
Is it 9 years old?
Like, we shot it in 15 or 16. I think
thought it was
came
15.
out. Yeah, but I'm sure we'll get into distribution stuff. Distribution takes a while, though, so I don't think it actually came out until like the end of 16 or
maybe 17. Yeah.
Early 17. Yeah.
Wow.
So
well,
there's that, but
that's a whole other.
It's ironic that there's our shout out. It did just come out on DVD, so if you're in the mood, pick it up.
Pick it up. We'll be talking about distribution, but not in this episode. Probably the next one or the one after. There's a lot of stuff we can go through with all of our films, but we wanted to start from the beginning. We know a lot of our viewers are just getting into making film or just getting into making videos at home. Perhaps you're doing YouTube videos, things like that, just to start off, and you're in the tubes, and you're ready to take it to the next level. And we've done that, so we want to share our experiences and what's kind of happened. Afterward, with some of the things that we've done. So I have a couple questions I'm just going to ask Clay, because when I first started with Clay, I was acting only. I had never picked up a camera in my entire life. So it was...
facts. Actually, I didn't know.
It's a fact.
So
I mean, it's photography, yes, but not other cameras. But I've been in front of the lens for my entire life. So I was really passionate about doing stuff with Clay as it pertains to filmmaking. And after I watched what he did with this film and how he did it, it was really kind of inspirational. So I wanted to talk to you about that, Clay. Pardon me. I drink a lot of soda water while I'm, canned soda water. When I'm
like sparkling? Like AHA or LaCroix or whatever?
Comme gas. Yeah, it's with the air bubbles, so I always get... little bubblies in my throat.
Yeah.
I shouldn't drink that. I should drink still water while I'm doing this, but I just drink bubbly water. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Clay.
I like the Liquid Death.
Oh, it's so good. I love Mango Chainsaw. Can we get a sponsorship from Liquid Death? If you guys are listening,
please contact us.
Oh my God. Even if it's just sending us cans of Liquid Death, I'll take it.
We'll drink it on the show.
I'll take it. I love that stuff. But anyway.
Anyway, moving on to the test, I'm going to be questioned.
Yes, that's right. So we started. I remember meeting you for the very first time. I went all the way from my home, which I live in still right now, I believe, all the way down to Mesa, which is it was Mesa or Chandler, where your dad's
it's like,
store was.
It was borderline Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler. There's like a triangle right there where you're just kind of a mile or two away from like all three of those cities.
I went to your dad's in the back. I met your dad, and he scared me. He's very forward, and he told me to go
Yeah.
to the back office. He was a State Farm agency.
Insurance agent.
Yep. And so we went to the back, and I met this very young guy with stars in his eyes, and he said, "I'm going to make this film. I've made some films before, but they've been fan films, and I want to make a big film. And here's some lines." And from there, I read my lines, and I didn't really hear much back at that time, but I wanted to hear kind of the casting process. You started with a script, right?
Yeah, I decided that I had kind of reached the peak of what I could do with friends and family and not having actors. So I wrote the script actually very, very quickly, which is why some of the dialogue is very wooden. But I really just wanted to push something out and prove to myself that I could take the next step and work with actual actors and do a actual feature film that wasn't, yeah, like you said, I had done some fan films right before that. I made 2 Starman films based on the DC superhero. And that was fun, but obviously you can't really do anything with that. It was really just for YouTube. I had been dipping my toes in like finding composers to do music for some of my work, but I wanted to take the next step. So wrote a script, honestly, in, oh my gosh, maybe 4 to 6 days. Like idea, I'm not even kidding. Idea to shooting script, 4 to 6 days. I just sat there, and now I can, when I'm writing scripts, I can get my head into how each character is gonna be. You can go watch like Pocket Man and Cargo Boy, for example, another one of our films, and every character is very unique. They have their own vibe, if you will. They're very thorough. They have backstories. Some of them are crazy. Like just go check it out. You'll know what I mean. But Silver Woods is very one-dimensional. When I sat there and wrote the script, I just kind of like typed conversations as I thought they sounded in my head, and I didn't really go back and make a whole lot of changes.
Well, here's a
But
question
yeah,
for
so
you. Here's a question for you about the script alone. So you gave me the script, and it was a full script. It looked like a professionally written script in a format the script was written in. How did you learn how to write scripts like that? Did you use a program like Celtics, or did you just what did you
at
do?
the time I was using Celtics because it was free, I believe.
Oh boy, that's a long time ago. It's not free anymore.
Yeah, no. I had dabbled with Final Draft. I think that was becoming like kind of the norm, but it was complicated, and I had never really written a full screenplay like this. The only screenplays I had written were for shorts, so they were 5 to 6 pages max. Everything else, like when we did Starman, I know I've told you this, but when we did Starman and a lot of my earlier films, it was really like I had an idea, but it was all improv. I would say, okay, this scene, this is going to happen. I'd get like my friends or whoever was in the shoot for that day, and this is what's going to happen. We're going to be shooting this conversation, and we would just kind of like walk through what I wanted. I'd be like, I think you guys should, stop here, face each other, say something like this, and the actors would just kind of like practice it and see what came out naturally. And after 10, honestly, 15 maybe minutes, we kind of knew what we were doing, and I would start shooting. And if I thought it looked good, I would be like, now remember roughly what you said, and I'll change the camera angle, and hopefully I can cut it together. So
It's a rough way to be.
but it worked. And, those were my friends. I wasn't paying them, and it was more just like, let's hang out, and that's how we hung out.
Nice. So more questions about the script then, but just about the writing aspect of it. So it was a full fleshed out script, short movie, albeit a short movie now, by our standards. It was a full fleshed out script.
Yeah.
And as you said, they're very one dimensional. So you clearly weren't writing for anyone or with a thought of a kind of archetype person in particular. However, you still had 3 acts in that script. It was a well done script. Where'd you learn to write? Thanks. Where'd you learn to write in the 3-act format, and how did you get to that point? Obviously, you didn't get there doing fan films and shorts. There had to have been something that somebody or someone who taught you how to do this.
I'm gonna say no, not really. A lot of my learning was just self-taught. I mean, I'll call it film. I've been working on film since I was 9. Just getting cameras, like I said, getting friends together, and it evolved and it grew. I became obsessed with doing visual effects, and I would watch like some After Effects tutorials back when it was like CS3, and learn how to do stuff, and just I did grow up a big video co-pilot fan. I'm a huge Andrew Kramer guy. I love his work on he eventually went to work on like Star Trek and stuff like that, but I learned a lot of like techniques from their videos and products, and even like Creative Cow, for those of you that want to like go way back. And I did go to school. I went to Collins College, but the only classes I took before I left were technical classes. I learned some editing on like Avid and cameras, how to operate cameras, stuff like that, how to set scenes. But I actually never took a screenwriting class, never learned how to write. When I was younger, I was really into drawing. So like in school, I'd be the kid like not really paying attention and making like cartoons. I took a cartooning class in high school, and I did art all 4 years.
Never knew that about you. Never knew you could draw.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying things you never knew, but I did kind of have like paths going separate ways because I loved film, but for a while I thought maybe I was going to get into like cartoons or some sort of like a comic strip artist. And so I would just always be thinking about stories. I, even to this day, love to just, I can't really do it sitting. I have to be moving, but like I'll pace back and forth or find something that I can do around the house. It used to be, when I lived with my parents, it used to be jumping on a trampoline, just with headphones in, listening to like film score music, and just think like, what would be cool to this music? Like, how did the music make me feel? And I just started thinking about like different situations and things that I would love to see. And I just always have ideas kind of going in the back of my head. So when like I said, The Silver Woods was the first script I wrote, I just kind of pulled from different films that I had seen and different aspects that I had already thought about and what would be cool. And a lot of times when I'm writing, and this is actually like, here's your tip. Here's tip number 1 from this whole video. If you get anything, this is probably the biggest tip I can give. I don't know what other questions you have, but I almost always, and you might be like, everyone does this. I don't know. I'm stalling so that it's like, oh, I gotta see the tip. I almost always come up with the end of my film before I think about anything else, because I don't want to be coming up with a good idea and not know how to finish it. I feel like it is important to know the end. And it's not that...
That's funny, because I always come up with the hook first. The hook. Just whatever is going to hook people in. I don't come up with the ending. Or it's somewhere like right before sometimes I come up with the climax first. But almost always it's the hook to get you hooked in is what I write, and then I write everything around that.
Yeah, the climax you could classify that as the ending. I have done that before, but I need to know where the story is going to go before I can figure out how I'm going to get there. And there might be someone watching right now that's like, yeah, that's how I do it, or that's what I always thought. And then there's probably people that are like, that is stupid. And it could be. And it's not that when I come up with the end, it's not like it is set in stone. But I have basically a rough idea, at least a rough idea.
Yeah, it's different for everybody, right?
What I'm getting to. Because I have I will admit I have come up with really good ideas, and then I'm just like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't figure it out. Actually, originally, this is another film that we won't get into it right now, but
Join the club with that one, by the way.
originally,
Like,
what?
I think we've all done that. Read something. I don't know where to go with this. It's going in the trash.
Yeah, but I hate that because then it's like the idea kind of gets tossed aside and sometimes forgotten about. But when I wrote the October Flowers, originally it was going to be a vampire movie. I was like, I had the whole idea about how everyone living in the house was going to be actually secretly a vampire, and the main character was going to get turned into a werewolf. I'm sorry, not a vampire, a werewolf, and it quickly, like when I went back and started writing it, I realized, oh, that doesn't work with like kind of where I'm taking this, and the majority of that script got thrown away, and it evolved into this more haunted house story. But originally, that's where I had decided that was going to go. So to get back to Silver Woods, though, yeah, I came up with the end, like how I wanted that to end, and then I was like, oh, I love the end of this, but I got to figure out like how we're going to get there. And I spent, like I said, about 4 days figuring it out.
Speaking about more about how to get there, there was,
Yeah.
as you and I both know now, making a film, and for anybody who hasn't made it, I'll say one thing in advance. If you want to make something, go out and do it. You know, just do what you can when you can. If you can't make a feature, make a short. If you can't make a short, make a clip. Just do whatever you can. But I will say, making a feature film, not to discourage anyone, is a huge undertaking. It's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of organization. And when you were starting Silverwoods, you had a script. You knew you wanted to cast people. And when I got there, I saw that you had a team assembled to be your crew. Now, albeit a very bare bones team, a lot of indie films and a lot of films that you and I have made and been a part of have a bare bone team. Is a very limited amount of money. I mean, on the larger scale, an indie film might have 100,000, but on a smaller scale, it might have 30. So, and with Silver Woods, it wasn't even that. But so that therein lies, I guess what I'm saying is the trick. Therein lies, you know, where are you cutting corners? And you cut corners in a lot of different places to make this done. I know, for instance, you didn't have all the equipment you wanted, but you did have lighting, right? So you had some things, you made some concessions to get this done. And you employed, I'm going to say employed, but you employed, in the classic sense, employed some people to be crew members on this adventure with you. So obviously we've assembled a cast over time, right? And by the way, some of the members of the cast were actually really fantastic at what they did.
Yeah, I was really pleased with.
So you'll be surprised.
Honestly, all of them.
And I'll say this to young filmmakers starting out: you'll be surprised how far you can go if you're like, "Hey guys, I have an idea. I would love to do this. I'm very vulnerable. I don't have a lot of money. Who is willing to work for X amount of dollars?" And see where that gets you, because you'll find out a lot of people that will apply, right, or for the audition. There are people that I'm not going to say don't have any talent, but maybe not in that field, or they have no experience and they're not the right fit for that position, for that role.
Yeah.
But by the same token, you will get people that if they like what you've done and they like the script, they'll be more than willing to volunteer if they have some free time. So I guess that's where I'm trying to get to now, is we've assembled a cast, because obviously you assembled a cast. And by me telling you I went into your insurance agency and went to the back, obviously that's what everybody else did. We didn't have Zoom back then, so you had to painstakingly speak to a lot of different people to find the right fit, or the fit that you could afford.
Well, I had never cast before, so I didn't know how to do it. But just to kind of cut you off real quick and say something about casting, because you asked earlier, and I totally abandoned that and went into the script.
Well, I'm hoping
but a lot of my idea with the casting was, if I can get these people to show up to this, then I can probably trust that they're going to show up to the movie, like when we actually shoot it. Because that was my big issue, is we shot, I don't know, 2.5 hours away. I needed everyone to, like, you know, we just stayed at the cabin, and I wanted to meet everyone first, so no serial killers showed up, and I knew who was going to be there. So yeah, a lot of casting is done through like Zoom now. I mean, you'll eventually meet in person, but
Yeah.
it was free. I wasn't really paying anybody to be there, so there were just a lot of important things when it came to casting for that project that was really just, can I rely on these actors?
And you know, with that comes a lot of really forward honesty. I remember you saying, "I don't have a lot of money for this. I don't have a lot of money for pay, and I don't know where I'm going after this with this movie. But I would like your help." And I think that filmmakers, for the most part, and I've experienced a lot of different types in this business. I've experienced people that are like, "Oh, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and this is going to go to HBO, and this is going to go here, and this is going to go here," and those guys are generally liars.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way that things work. If I go to a set in LA and it's a big set, there's a million moving parts. Just starting, my favorite place is craft services, but then there's hair and makeup, and that's a trailer by itself, and then there's my assistant, and then there's grips and gaffers, and there's a PA, and then there's the director and the assistant director, and
There's a much bigger team than we had on Silverwoods.
yeah,
We'll
a
just
lot
say
of times.
that.
But they don't ever walk around talking about how great this movie is going to be. There's like, you have a job to do. This is what we're
No.
doing. And on smaller productions that run the same way, generally speaking, are better productions. So when you have somebody, I've been with this producer who will remain nameless, that would just talk all the time about how great everything's going to be and how they're going to sell it to this and that, and how much money everything is going to cost, but it's going to be great, and how they have the best actors. And they would get, some actors that are a bit older that I don't like talking about lettered lists like A-list, B-list, C-list. I don't believe in that. But, people that are, I don't believe anybody's past their prime, but people that haven't done anything in a while or are just doing like independent film and things like that now. And they would just brag about it all day long. And these productions didn't usually go very well. And at the end, the product wasn't very good. But because I don't think anybody had their heart in it. But with this, you seem to be honest. So I wanted to make sure that people know to be honest when they're going forth for their first production with everything. If you don't have locations, the best thing you're going to say is, "I would like locations and I don't know what to do, and this is how much money I have or how much money I don't have. Can anybody help me?" And sometimes you'll get a yes and sometimes you get a no, right? And when you get that no, if you get consistent no's, you have to be able to pivot into something different. And I think that probably is the next step that I wanted to talk about. You pivoted in quite a unique way, didn't you? Because we went to the forest, to a cabin in the forest.
Yeah.
And for lodging, we all had to stay in this cabin, which was neat because now you have your actors in one central location.
Yeah.
And it was very nice, very comfortable place. But that's a pretty interesting pivot, right? So we didn't have a lot of locations. We had one location that you just made look like a lot of different places on this land.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of wanted just to talk about how you went about doing that, because the next question is going to be how your crew. But I'll talk about this location thing first.
Well, so the location thing is tough. It's a bit of a trick because you can't really, for the most part, do this anymore. But I started looking on like Airbnb, and I just found places, and I started reaching out to the owner. "Hey, I'm interested in your place, and this is what I want to do." And a lot of them were like, "No, absolutely not. We don't allow commercial shooting." But I did have some get back to me, and then the guy that owned this cabin just ended up being a really good fit. He was fascinated by it, and it worked. Some of the script was written more vaguely than other parts, so that when we got to the location, because all I had was like pictures that were posted online and stuff. So when we got there, we could then like shift things around if needed, and it wasn't like, "No, we need like an RV or a river or something we don't have." But Airbnb has kind of shifted away from that. I don't know exactly where they're at right now, but a lot of those there's another one, Verbo or something like that. A lot of them don't allow like commercial photography anymore unless you want to pay like an extra fee or something like that. I've been lucky with some of the people that I've made connections with, such as like the guy that owns the Pocket Man and Cargo Boy house. You know, we shot there 3 times on that property.
You mean mansion? That's a mansion.
Yeah, it is a mansion. But you know, they were really nice, and we worked out deals outside of Airbnb for the second and third film. The first time it was just through that, and you know, we got to know them, and that's how you make connections. Is you tell people what you're doing, and you be honest, and they find it fascinating, or they don't. But yeah, so that was still how I was finding pretty much all of my locations. Was I'll just pay whatever the fee is to rent, vacation, whatever you want to call it, this place, put my cast and crew, this is their lodging for the shoot, make it work, and as long as the owner was okay with it, there was no additional fees or licenses or anything because it's private property. And in Arizona, you don't need any special licensing if it's private property because it's up to the owner. So as long as you have the original like agreement that they're okay doing it, you're fine. You don't need to go get any kind of licensing from the state.
Oh, so I should touch on this too while we're talking about this. If you guys are looking at making a film, most states have a film office, so you can actually look that up online, your state, and say film office. So if you're in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts State Film Office, New Hampshire State Film Office, Florida Film Office, Arizona Film Office, you're gonna go to those places and you're gonna call up and you're like, hey, I need a list of locations. And a lot of these locations don't charge very much, or they'll tell you the rules about locations, or some places you can shoot on public property and it's free.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I actually did do what Adam just said, and in Flagstaff, in the city limits of Flagstaff, which I think we were like borderline Williams. That's like Mesa.
Nowhere.
We fell in the category of Flagstaff's rules, and you're actually allowed to shoot on public property there without any licensing. So I was like, oh, cool. I don't have anything to worry about. I could do whatever I want as long as the owner of this cabin is okay with it. So there is that. But yeah,
that worked out well. So I'll get to the next thing, and then we'll wrap this one up because I don't want it to run too long, and we have a lot of these we have to do, and we've not even gotten
a hard test, and I don't want to fail.
It's a lot of, and the thing is we haven't even gotten to shooting yet.
This is good information though, because before you ask the last thing or whatever, I will say that I'm an open book. I've always been an open book. I like to help people, and I think that it's important because so many people that do things, like you'll hear how we shot things, and some of the projects that we've done have been very unorthodox. Just no one else was doing what we were doing at the time, but someone has to be the first to do it. And I'm not saying I invented the wheel, but there wasn't a whole lot of help out there. I just had to go try things out. So I think that getting information out there and helping other people is huge. And any questions, the comment section's right below. I'd be more than happy to get into more details about anything that we are talking about that you want more information on.
Yep. And don't forget to utilize those social media avenues. That's a great way to meet people, get in those groups. And people don't use Facebook as much as they used to, especially the younger people. They think it's for old folks, but those message boards in Facebook, that's how old I am. I call it a message board. Those pages in Facebook, they're useful. They're really useful. And a lot of aspiring actors that took a lot of acting classes and maybe haven't got their SAG card yet, or haven't really achieved what they want to, but they're really passionate about it. They're on those pages and they're looking. So you look too. You'll find who you need. And some of these actors and producers that want to actually produce something, that don't have a whole bunch of money, but they're really interested in the process, these are the people that might lend you their home, or lend you their cabin, or their backyard, or their trampoline, or whatever it is, or their RV. These are people that have things that they want to contribute, so open up. And the last thing I'm going to ask you about in this little segment is your crew. So you had to assemble a crew. We're not going to get into the gear yet. That's totally for next time, because that's what's going to fascinate a lot of people. So guys, watch the next one, because we're going to tell you what we use for gear, and it's going to surprise you.
So here's the gear. No, I'm
Here's the
just
gear. It's a list of gear. It's just gonna roll. Benny Hill style, just roll down in front of the camera. No, no. But so the crew that you used, right? I remember them very fondly, and they worked their butts off. There were 3 other people besides you that I can remember.
Yeah.
And you know, if you want to talk a little bit about who they are and how you met them, and then we'll just wrap this up.
Yeah. So Mackenzie Clark, who I've known since 6th grade, he was in Starman. We, for lack of better term,
Your
he was
Starman,
Adam.
not DC Starman. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
But for lack of better term, he was Adam before Adam to me. I mean, we're still like very good friends. We don't see each other as much. He's got a family now, lives on the other side of the country. Actually, I think he just moved to Washington, but we're still pretty far away. Yeah, he's military, so he gets moved around. But anyway, I know you don't want that much detail, but yeah, we worked together on probably 20 shorts and fan film-ish, feature-length, hour-long type stuff, and we just did a lot of stuff together. And he's always enjoyed film. It's not his passion, but he was a great help on any set. And like I said, he's acted in a ton of stuff. And he actually helped me write Pocket Man and Cargo Boy. He's like the other brainchild of Pocket Man and Cargo Boy. And then I had Kevin Pinato, who I met working at Little Caesars. I actually met Wesley Courtney working at Little Caesars as well, who was the 3rd camera op, assistant. Everybody had so many jobs that I don't really know what you just call it. We were just the crew. Some of us had cameras, some of us had mics, some of us I don't even think we had a slate, to be honest with you.
So you all had lights. You were moving lights around. You were
yeah.
It's a lot of hard work.
Grip gaffer people, and just everything we just kind of took turns. I usually had a camera in my hand. I think I shot almost every shot, but we always had someone on like a B cam, if you will. But yeah, I met them at Little Caesars. They both worked for me at different locations, and they just had a really good, strong work ethic, and we started hanging out outside of work. I was a younger manager at the time, and they were an older crew member at the time. So we would just go to like Sonic after work and chat or something like that. And it eventually started, hey, I this movie thing is cool. Can I do something? Like I want to be an actor, or I think being behind a camera is fun. And I developed relationships like this with a lot of people, and stayed close friends with them. And yeah, they were just down when I told them what we were doing. They're like, yeah, let's, take work off. And we all had different jobs at that point, but let's take work off and go stay at this cabin and shoot a movie for the entire, like, from the minute we got on set to the minute we left. It was just crazy. And I know you want to get into that the next episode or whatever.
Yeah. We don't talk about how crazy it was.
But it was a crazy shoot. That's all I'll say about that. But they're just they were 3 of my best friends, and I'm still in touch with all of them, and none of them were or are professional at this point. And I really think that's about the last time I worked with any of them. I know we shot some stuff with you, like Eyes on the Road. Yeah. After that, and
Kevin was in that too, and Wes was in that.
And Kevin was in that. He took part in those and helped. I think even they helped shoot him, if I remember right. And then Kevin was actually on set of the first Pocket Man and Cargo Boy. He shot some behind the scenes stuff. I think he was only there for like a day, but I don't work with them a whole lot anymore, because I'm usually hiring like cinematographers or actual crew people that want to do this for a living, and not just my friends who were literally willing to, for lack of a better term, bend over backwards for me, because
you got to start somewhere, right? That's the
You
point.
do, but it's all about treating people and being honest. And I mean, I'm sure if they're watching this, they'll admit they had a blast killing themselves doing this sort of thing.
We all do.
It's fun to think back on. But yeah, that was the crew. I think Wes might have brought his girlfriend, Victoria, Tori.
Okay.
I want to say they had like just started dating.
Oh wow. And you
I
saw
don't
that
even think
to
she
marriage,
really
huh?
helped out a whole lot. And now they're married and have kids.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I want to say they had like just started dating, and she came up. I pretty sure she's in some of the pictures. If you're not Tori, then I don't know who I'm thinking of.
Ooh. So
I'll put one up right here to prove it. Right here.
okay, do it. So I guess what I want to touch on in this last piece is, if you're making a film like Clay made Silver Woods when I met Clay, he didn't have a pot to, for lack of a better word, a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of. But he was honest. He said, "I have a script. I want to make this." He banded together his team of Avengers. They were just a ragtag team of kids that worked at a Little Caesars, and they decided, hey, we think we're going to make a film. Clay had the basic idea of how he wanted to do it. He knew how to make a film, and because he made so many shorts, and they just cast some actors, and there's
Yeah,
where
we were
are.
like 23 to 26, I think was the age range of us. Yeah.
And still one of the most popular movies you ever made. I mean, it's coming
And
back.
I had
DVD.
just had my third kid too, like
Ugh.
2 weeks I think before we shot.
Oh, it's so many kids.
And I was buying my first house, and actually, I don't know if you know this, I was signing the paperwork on my phone, because our realtor was sending me documents that I needed to sign
never.
while we were shooting it. Yeah, so I
That's
had
crazy.
just had my third child. I was buying a house, and I was shooting a film.
Getting started early.
Oh,
But
man.
it's never too late, never too early to start. So we're going to leave it at that right now. Guys, thanks for watching. We have a lot of stuff planned to talk about for the next installment, these will be coming out regularly. We're going to talk about gear that Clay used on that set, some of the time frames in which we shot, the scheduling, and just some of the funny things that happened while we were there that maybe you can use in your production as far as information goes and getting you started on your first. So stay tuned to the next one. If you like what you saw today, please do us a favor, like and subscribe if you can. It really helps us with the algorithm for YouTube, helps with our numbers, and it also helps us know what you like and what you don't like. So and if you have any questions for Clay or me, I can help answer those. Feel free to leave them in the comments. That's what we want. The more questions, the better. The more comments, the better. We love your comments. We love to read them. We read every single comment personally, and we answer every single comment personally. So please feel free to do that. We're here. Clay's an open book. I'm an open book. And, we'd love to hear from you. Do you have anything you wanted to say before we leave, Clay?
No.
That's it. So we're going to see you guys next time on Through the Lens. Okay? Thanks so much for watching again, guys. And until next time.